Welcome to Duckpin TV's coverage of the inaugural Preakness Duckpin Classic. We are at Greenmount Lanes in Hampstead, Maryland for the final rounds of the team championship. I am Pat Rufo. Today, we present the semifinal rounds featuring the top teams from each division quarterfinal winners. And in our feature match of the semifinal round, we will be seeing Team Anastasi taking on Team Iafola. That match will be taking place on lanes 11 and 12. Also taking place at the same time will be the other semifinal match between Team Ball and Team Schmidt, and that will be happening on lanes 5 and 6. And we will be checking in occasionally on the action over there. Joining me today in our broadcast booth will be Joe Rainier and Jim Kaufman. Jim, can you give us some opening thoughts on today's semifinal matches? And we'll be joined by Joe momentarily.
Well, as far as Team Anastasi, we were following them towards the end of their quarterfinal match, where they were neck and neck and managed to throw enough marks in the 9th and 10th to hold off their opponents, and they won by about 25 pins. And Anastasi, again, it's comprised of the two brothers and father, so it's definitely a family team. And then Team Iafola, the namesake of the team, Tony Iafola, coming in with, I believe, a 118 average, had almost 170 in their quarterfinal match, so he definitely set the pace and led them to victory to get them to the semis.
And Joe, we got to watch the Schmidt-Richmond matchup. What's your thoughts on the Schmidt team coming in?
Well, they made it by probably the best team in the tournament as far as average, so you got to think that their confidence is very high, and it's an even-up match.
Yep, and they're going up against Ball, so we're going to be checking in on that match. The match we've got in front of us should be a real barn burner. We've got a huge differential in pins.
Yes, you do.
We got 58 pin difference.
And if you look at the averages,
Yep.
This is where we're going to find out, and you'll be able to see the pressure that they're under as this progresses.
And as we begin our coverage again, we want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors. Of course, without their generous support, events such as this Preakness Duckpin Classic would not be possible. Our bowlers are very grateful for everything that's been done to help promote the sport of duckpin bowling. And now we're going to get back to the action on lanes 11 and 12, again between teams Anastasi and Iafola. Joe Rainier, Pat Rufo, Jim Kaufman with you to keep you updated on the lengthy 5-man 10-box battle. So that would be Mark Anastasi with his first ball in the semifinal round being a strike.
We bowled Mark in the qualifying, near the end of the qualifying, and he really had a tough time. Not that he was bowling poorly, but he was knocking the middle out and leaving some splits, and I think he looks pretty comfortable today.
See James Simon right there with a nice release, nice ball, but an unfortunate break. And on lane 12, you got Bob. You want to help me with that name, Joe? Nidzwicki? Is that Nidzwicki? I'd go with a Nidzwicki.
I'm going to agree with you.
I'm going to call him Bob, though. How about
There you
that?
go.
So again, we've got a lower average team. In the last match that we watched, we had the lower average team with a bowler come out with a 4-bagger in 2 through 5, and really took the stuffing out of the Richmond team. Turn the match around immediately.
It does. Your chin drops when that happens. Whether you receiving the pins or giving the pins, it's tough. This is not supposed to be a strike game, but for 4 frames it was.
For him, it was. Yep. So our first look at George Kahn, the 4th. He is the 4th bowler. I don't know if they put him there for that reason or not, but another strike from an Anastasi boy. That would be Matt on lane 11.
That team's been around long enough that they know that they have to make up X amount of pins per frame. You can't make them all up at one time, but you got to nibble.
We're in a very similar situation where the highest average bowler on Team Iafola, which is right now on lane 12, that's Rob Stevens, is 1 pin higher than the lowest average bowler on the Anastasi team. So there's a reason why they're getting pins, and we'll see what happens as this unfolds.
Well, and as the game goes on, they really need to remember that they're getting these pins, because you're watching these other teams saying, man, how are we going to beat these guys? They're so much better than us.
Right.
Well, you're getting that difference.
Yes, you are. You've got 4 bowlers on the other team averaging in the 130s, and then you've got the anchor man, Matt Anastasi, are over 140, 142 average, so they can certainly make up pins in a hurry with a team like that. There's Regina Greco on lane 11. She's the leadoff bowler for the Iafola team.
I watched her all weekend, and that may be the first poor ball that I've seen her throw. And again, there's the pressure.
Yeah, well,
The closer you get to this championship game, the more these bowlers are going to feel the pressure. Good.
Came back with a nice second ball there. You see on lane 12, this is, I believe, Anthony Anastasi. Would that be brother, father? Would got a whole family out there.
That's Dad.
The dad's leading off the way, huh? So you got
He's
Dad
a good sport.
You got Dad bowling lead off. You got Mark in the third slot, and Matt on the bottom, and then you split it up with a couple of names there. Yeah, it's a big lineup.
They're all good bowlers.
Indeed, they are.
And I think Dad, through the time that they've bowled together, keeps them under control. And you know, you need a good noggin in this game. You can't let it beat you up.
Yep. See Brian Green just throw his first ball to the second box over there on lane 12. Brian's in the blue shirt with the white cap, right-hander. He's bowling right now against the sponsor of the team, I believe, Tony Iafola, or at least the captain, perhaps. This is an all-Southern match, I believe.
In the early games of the qualifying, Tony did not look like a 118 average bowler. He looked more like a 130 plus average bowler.
I'm sure that's one of the reasons they're here today.
Exactly. As you watch this match, if you keep an eye on the number of marks, I would say that Anastasia, they're going to have to make approximately 1 more mark per frame or 10 marks in the game, discounting doubles or triples, to win, to make up that handicap. That was a big ball. It looked like he was going to
double, I believe. Yes, you get a double.
No, he had actually chopped 2 on the first ball, and it looked like he was going to give that strike back, but
he didn't. I heard all the excitement. I thought I missed a double.
At the moment, that was probably
bigger than a double.
Bigger than a double,
yeah,
yes.
Hey, Joe, what percent of the time, if you go off the side for 2, what do you think the percentage of conversions your competitive higher average bowler would cover that?
I would still say it's close to 1 out of 10. That's a tough shot. You've just missed the number 1 pin that you're shooting at. You shoot at 30 pins at 30 times in a league match, and you've just missed it. So you're more concentrating on hitting the front pin and just hoping something happens.
Especially when you're on a strike, still filling a strike.
Exactly.
It's really more about the count than trying to convert it.
You don't want to give that strike back. And you don't want to make a habit out of missing the head pin. To keep this match close, even though they're giving quite a few pins, I think that the Iafola team, they need to throw some strikes. It takes the pressure off. And obviously their percentage of making spares is not near as high as Anastasia.
Right, and if it's a closer game towards the end of the match and it's coming down to making your spares, obviously the advantage goes towards the higher average team.
Well, that first ball can take a lot of pressure off the lower average bowler.
And give them confidence as well.
Exactly.
You see Matt Anastasi drop 9 on that strike, just barely sliding by the 10 pin, almost a double. Just easily covering the 10 pin on that.
As early as it is, you can see where the confidence is.
Absolutely. The Anastasi team right now is just, they're rushing to the line. They can't wait to throw their next ball.
And you know, at this point where you're in the semifinals, you really don't realize that. You think you're doing exactly what you did to get here, but muscles tighten up, the mind is not as focused and as concentrated, a little thinking going on.
Again, getting back to something Jim had talked about also in the earlier broadcast of these finals, the Anastasi team has had to play that extra game now. Some would think that's a disadvantage, but it's becoming, I guess, a little bit more apparent that might not be a disadvantage when you get to roll that game to get into the tournament, or into the finals.
Well, the fact is you already won, so you know, and these guys could bowl all day.
Yeah. So you see on lane 12, we see Regina pick off a 2-pin, just chopped through, and then on lane 11, Dad goes by the 10-pin to miss a single. So no harm, no foul there, but an opportunity for either team to either cut into the dent or add to it.
The hard part of that was Regina hit the object pin.
Sure did.
And you just don't, when you're trying to not give up your handicap, you just don't need that to happen.
Yeah,
that is just very tough luck.
Yeah, it's a tough shot. You see Brian Green going to be coming up on lane 11. It's off the side there for 2. Tony Iafola now on lane 12. He's wearing the green shirt, tan shorts. Throws a nice ball. See, I agree with you right there. That's not a 118 ball right there.
No.
Holy mackerel.
And he repeats it. You know,
Yeah.
Again, I talk about the stroke of the bowler and holding up under pressure, and he has that stroke. It's straight back, straight forward with his hand under the ball.
All over the 10-pin like he does it every day.
Exactly.
Tough frame for Brian. Leaving a couple sticks right now. Not a lot of left pins. The Anastasi team left 5 and 12 pins already left on the deck by the Iafola team.
And you have 5 marks to 3 so far in the match.
So it's, you know, that extra 6 pins is like another mark. That was a loud strike in more ways than one.
If you watch the Anastasia and that whole team, but especially them, they have a lot on the ball as it's going down the lane. It's an interesting thing I saw. If you watch Tony the next time he bowls, he has like a black ball with the white stripes, and you can really see the revolutions on the ball. It's kind of interesting to watch.
See on lane 11, James Simon leaving the, oh dear, that's the 2-7-8. But does that look familiar?
Well, we talked about that yesterday, and they made me wrong when I said I would rather have a bowler shoot this for a spare than the 5-7-10, because I think the 5-7-10 is easier to make.
Yeah, we saw Colton Gu and
Randy.
He made it back to back.
Yeah, Randy let me know. But you know, with James, he's a grinder. He's one of those bowlers that you think you're beating him, and you look up, and it's like, how can I only be 6 pins ahead? I'm beating him to pieces, and he just hangs in there. He's hard to get away from.
Well, he throws a 139 average. he doesn't make too many mistakes. That's
And a lot of confidence. He won a Pro Tour last year.
wow. See George Kahn struggling after, tough break leaving the 7-10, but didn't even come close to either of the 7 or the 10 pins. So that's 2 more pins left on the deck. That number is starting to really creep up. And
even at this average with the 131, you just really do not like rolling a ball and not hitting something.
yeah, absolutely. And we're not even 3 boxes in, and the Anastasi team has already lopped off well over 30 pins of the handicap. So if this trend continues, they'll be bowling scratch from the 5th box on, and that's not going to be good news.
You have Mark with big counts, the 2 10 counts already and working on a strike. Yeah, something has to happen to the Iafola team to get them out of this.
You can already see that it's already there's a little steam already taken out of their game. So they got to, I agree. Right now they got to start something happening on a positive note.
It's little things, like Regina picking that 2-pinner that had that been made, you don't know what would have happened. It just deflates that balloon, so to speak.
Yep. So we have Anthony Anastasi. He's the patriarch of the family. On Mother's Day, let's say Happy Mother's Day out there to all your moms, and say Happy Mother's Day to my mom and my wife and my daughters.
Oh my! I think Anastasia. I think they owe Mom a day.
Yeah, I mean, well.
There's one for Mom.
There's one for Mom right there. I can't imagine Mom's not here. Somewhere. No?
Yeah, I would think. I would think. If you watch Mark, he is a boost to that team because he's always got a smile on his face.
Yep.
I don't care what he hits.
Yep.
He might shake his head a little bit, but
Yep.
he just keeps on. He's loose.
There's Brian Green trying to follow suit. Drops 9 over on lane 12. Tony Iafola is going to step up on lane 11. Nope, this time we're going to let Brian shoot this single. If the Iafola team's got any chance at all of getting back in this, they're going to need to see a few more of that. Missed opportunity for the Anastasi team, and unfortunately, Tony makes the pin that Brian missed.
Wow. That's a little bit of a boost. Yeah, you have 7 marks to what, 3, and the 1 mark we just had the 1 count on, which sort of erases the spare.
Yeah, the 58 pin differential is already down into the teens, so the handicap advantage is shifting quickly. And speaking of shifting quickly, we're going to shift over to Jim Kaufman, who's going to give us a little update perhaps on the other match that's taking place.
Down on 5 and 6, it's Team Schmidt against Team Ball, and it's only a 3-point difference with handicap-wise. Team Schmidt is getting 3 pins from Ball, and with that, they are still down by just a pin. So Ball clinging to a 1-pin lead after 3 frames against Schmidt.
Exciting match. We've got started out as a 58 pin differential, dropping down into the teens and single digits. However, Team Iafola just got a huge break as Bob Nizwicki, a little backdoor action for a strike. And at the same time, Mark Anastasi goes by a 2-pin spare. So George Kahn follows suit. So there you go. Just one little spur of you got a little momentum,
Exactly.
a little excitement.
Well, you hear the cheerleaders have shown up, and that helps. And you've already had a couple mistakes from the strikes on the Anastasia team. You know, it's amazing to sit here and watch the swing. You know, the momentum.
Well, the Anastasia team came out of the gates hot and really put a charge in the first 2 to 3 boxes, and now it's time for the Iafola team to kind of regroup, catch their breath, calm those nerves down a little bit, and take advantage of some openings that they're getting right now.
Anastasia team has not made a mark since the first strike, the lucky strike, as we.
There you go. Lucky strike, hey. Speaking to Connecticut boys.
Yep.
So here is Matt Anastasia. He's looking to mark 4 boxes in a row. He just throws an absolutely devastating first ball. That thing just takes everything out. There's nothing left to doubt once that ball hits. Solid on his spares, too.
You see
very good spare.
How under control that arm swing is. Even with the speed of the ball, the arm swing is slow.
I bowled against Matt I actually made a pro cut and bowled against him last year, and he just is so smooth. He's one of the best spare shooters. There's no doubt from when it leaves his hand, he's going to make the shot.
If you watch him, he keeps the game pretty simple. It's straight back, straight forward. There's no increase
Hey,
in
look
the
at this
momentum.
Iafola
There we
team
go.
now, huh?
And that was after she picked that 2-pin.
You know, she got a little. Maybe she got a little. The bowling gods looked favorably upon her next shot.
They owe me one. I think she might have been thinking.
Oh, you think? So another missed single for the Anastasia team, and
I'm going to say again, they have not made a mark since. Well, yes, the last bowler did. I'm sorry. They've made one mark since the strike.
Yeah.
That caused this little bit of a momentum change.
There's a best of the bunch right there, and that leaves a solid 5-pin. And as I said many times, I take that all day long.
Roll it like you did the first ball.
You can now hear the Anastasia team. Their cheers before were excited. Now they're starting to get a little bit more cheers of anxiety.
Exactly.
Can't miss another single. As Iafola covers the 5-pin.
4 marks out of their last 5 bowlers, as
Brian
opposed
Green.
to 1 mark.
No, Brian Green is another missed single. So we've seen another momentum shift here in the last box. And it started with a backdoor strike, but the rest of the marks were all legit.
Anastasia team's gotten quiet.
A little quieter.
Bowler's gotten a little up in the air.
So they're working on 4 hits.
This is a big ball.
You think? You think it's a big ball?
Well,
that wasn't a backdoor.
No, that was 10 in the pit.
That was Bob Niedzwiecki, and there was no doubt about it.
All of a sudden, they got me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, you're getting excited now, just like the singles finals. We got a match again.
Well, they got 4 counts.
Well,
double and 3 of them are strikes.
It's
So
exactly.
you have the possibility of.
They're actually filling 4 strikes right now. They've got a strike up top, they've got a double in the middle, and they got a strike in the 4th slot.
They're even in strikes.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, boy.
It's amazing.
It's contagious, isn't it?
Yes, it is. In both directions, as we're
It
seeing.
sure is. It's, the missed spare opportunities led to another missed spare, and the breaks made led to another break made. So
Well, you hear him talk about that worm having a head on both ends. He just changed direction.
looking for a little spark from James Simon. Big ball, solid 5-pin.
Right.
Oh, wow. So, there's Rob Stevens with another Nice first ball, another 5-pin.
This is a big ball because he's yet to have a mark.
Look at this. Look at this. Wow. The air just sinking.
Okay. That's
We
his
just
first
saw,
mark.
We may have just seen a 50 or 60 pin turn.
Well, I talked about the number of marks, and if you count, they're almost back to even. And it was 7-3.
Right now, they're loading 6 hits. They've got 6 counts right now sitting there to fill. They've got a double and 4 other loads.
And the games, there's actually 9 marks for each team. And obviously the double is like 10 marks.
Sure. But remember, the team is 58 pins ahead to start the game, so they'll stay even in marks all day.
Oh, yeah.
And now Matt Anastasi looking to put at least 1 mark up in the frame for his team, and he kind of stops the bleeding at least.
He's 5 for 5.
He sure is. He's keeping his team alive right now.
That's why he's on the bottom.
And here's Anthony Anastasi coming up on lane 12, looking to regenerate some momentum. Anastasi team missed 3 singles in the last box.
Well, and very seldom you'll see Mark right there Anthony, I'm sorry, just broke 9 and almost had a dejected look on his face.
Yeah, I know. It's like that's not a bad thing.
Now I have to hit this, Where before, earlier in the game, he would have been very happy with that.
And Regina a little bit off the side. She is counting on a strike, so she's got another ball. All right. Little lift there from Dad, a little single made. Maybe that'll change the momentum, change the attitude. Regina looking to fill again, her second load. And she goes by the side. So that's a tough box right there.
Yeah, you have to hit something with that
Got to clean it up. Got to clean it up. Has a great out. Really good ball in the third ball. And another 9 drop for the Anastasi team. They're not throwing a bad first ball at all. This is Brian Green.
Yeah, every ball is pretty important right now because they're trying to change this momentum that went in the other direction. Yeah, that's big.
2 singles in a row. Here's Tony Iafola. He is uploading a spare.
Yeah, you see 3 marks in a row for the anesthesia team.
Yep, and started with Matt.
And you see what it caused, a bad count on Tony's ball.
Ooh, whoa. He had the 7-8 and the 10 for a second. 10 drop, but that doesn't make matters much easier.
No, you have to shoot 1 and 1. And as we spoke of before, my opinion is you shoot the hole and hope you slap the 7 off the wall. Just what we talked about happened. He had the 7-8 and he shot the slide the 8 and ended up not hitting anything.
So Iafola cleans up 10 and Mark with a 9 box. And now Bob Niedzwiecki on a double. Lane 11.
How big is this?
Pretty big. If it's anything like the last ball, really big.
He probably feels the weight of the whole team as he's standing there.
It's really quiet right now, if you notice, Joe. And there's another pin there that we can't see from here. It's 7-10, yep.
It's still a good count.
It's still a great count on a double. Another 9 drop for James Simon. And the Stacy team is just 1 9 drop after another right now.
Yes, they are. All right.
So Niedzwiecki does his job and fills 9, and now he's going to try to cover the 10 pin for a 10 box and then move on. I mean, he threw his double. He did his job.
He did his job, is right. And he got the momentum started.
You're looking at an average of a 119 bowler who's right now plus 31 in the sixth. So
that's James' first mark, and as I spoke of before, he's just a grinder. He'll end up with a decent game.
So right now, the story of the match right now is the single conversion, and we probably already know this number, but less than 50% for Anastasi's team, 83% for Iafola's team. So there's twice as many. The percentage is double. Huge.
Big comeback.
Huge second ball right there.
3 count and came back and made it. That could have been a disastrous frame.
Because they kind of threw 2 loads away. And Matt says right in the back of the head, the 10-pin went forward. Huge ball.
He's solid. He's 6 in a row.
Yeah, he hasn't thrown a bad ball this game.
No.
Here's Rob Stevens. He's really, his job right now is just to maintain the momentum. They're in this game, right? They're in this game.
They got back in it. You're right.
They staved off that initial surge where Anastasi's team made up all the pins, and then they built them back up enough where they had a little bit of a cushion. Now it's a match.
Yeah, they went with just 1 mark. So Anastasia, even though they missed the 1-pinner, they did make 3 spares and a strike.
Nice ball right there from Regina. 9-drop. I've seen a lot of 9-drops today.
Well, the Anastasia team just in the 6th frame actually had 4 9s and a strike, and they made 3 of the 9s.
Big shot here for Regina. She knew it. She knew it halfway. She didn't get it over there. Anthony trying to make it hurt a little bit more by converting his 3-pin spare, and he does.
And he did, yes. If I could tell the bowlers watching anything as far, we all know that we have one bad side, especially 125 average and below, the left side or the right side. And I think as a tip to them, you really have to execute when you're shooting the corners. And by that I mean you stay down a little longer, you exaggerate the execution and reach for them. And practice them.
You think, Joe, practice? Wow, really?
No one likes to shoot a pin that they can't hit.
I know. I know. Well, a couple of ugly first balls right there. One from Brian off the side, and Tony threw a ball off the side and left a bit of a mess. We're going to once again check in with Jim Kaufman, who has an update on the Schmidt versus Ball matchup.
Thanks, Pat. Match between Schmidt and Ball still very close. Only 5 pins separate them. Ball clinging to that 5-pin lead after 5 frames. And Team Ball is relying heavily on Will Cook. The other 4 seem to be struggling score-wise. Will Cook, 134 average, came out with 2 10 boxes and a triple. So it's that triple that's really keeping them in the match. They have a 5-pin lead.
Thank you, Jim. And that sounds like a real exciting match. Hopefully that continues, and we can maybe check in with you further on in the match. Give us another update. Thank you very much, Jim. Back over here on 11 and 12. We have Mark Anastasi dropping 7-8. Little extra tip there.
Well, to get Mo back, the Iafola team's going to, as you saw, they had 4 strikes in the 2 frames, and it changed the momentum. And they've kind of gone quiet here for a little bit.
Yes, another ball off the side for 2. Wasn't loading, but still, it's a disappointing leave when you didn't hit the head pin, so you can't really fault anybody but yourself. It's your fault. Sometimes we don't pay for a poorly thrown ball if you catch 2 pins, but when you catch 1, it's. Yep. So Mark leaves a stick on the deck, and Excellent,
Great
excellent out by Niedzwicki. That's a huge 10 box.
Great tens.
Here's your boy James Simon coming up on lane 11. And that ball's going to go off the right side for 2.
No one's taking charge right now.
It's
They're kind of marking time, which is not a good thing for Anastasia.
No, they're still behind. Right now, Anastasia's team's on 2 marks. Now 3 as Simon once again.
I told you he grinds.
He doesn't give it up.
And we've had George that's had 3 marks in a row, but the 2 spares, one in the 6th and one in the 6th, right, 5th and 6th was a 3 count and a 5 count. So let's see what happens here.
Yeah, so got to clean it up, and again, they're still clinging to a lead. But I think right now, this next ball from Matt could be a significant momentum changer.
Well, right now you have 3 counts to none, and that's worth probably an average of 24, 25 pins.
Well, especially when Matt's throwing one of them.
There's 10 right there if he makes this
Yeah,
one
that's
pinner.
right. Say if. Would you use the word if?
I know. He keeps the game so simple. It just. Oh, he had the 10. I'm sorry.
Oh, we
I
did
missed
not.
the pin.
No, I didn't see the 10 in the corner. Well, he didn't miss that one either. So 9 load, 10 box for Anastasi. Here's Rob Stevens, and that's gonna take a bunch down. You saw those 2 pins coming from the right side of the wall, and they were on the right trajectory.
If you noticed, he got that ball out. He's been putting the ball on the floor a little early, almost dropping it. That ball he got out, his hand came through the ball, and that caused the action that you saw.
So we're down to 3 boxes with the Fola team clinging to about maybe a 10 or 15 pin lead. They got a 21 pin advantage, but the Anastasi team is at an extra mark. So this game's getting into the range of tight.
Yeah, even with the score the way it is, I would say right now the Anastasia team has the advantage.
How dare that pin try to stand up, right? Doesn't belong there.
You had at least 3 Anastasias rooting for it to fall.
Regina over on a lane 11 with a nice attempt. Big strike there from the leadoff bowler, Anthony. Brian Green now going to try to follow that up.
The momentum didn't change as quickly as it did in the middle of the game for the Iafola
It's been
team,
more
but
subtle.
it is kind of leaning the direction of the Anesthesia.
Well, with that mark in the leadoff slot, they now essentially have closed the gap to even. Ooh, very, very unfortunate break.
That's Duckpin.
6, 7, 10 on a pretty good hit, I'd say. Something went wrong somewhere, but
We're probably fractions of an inch from a 9 drop. Brian has an opportunity to slow things down here if he makes that 1 pin spare, the number 7.
and Iafola now up on 11. And he does cover his spare. So they get 1 back. We have Mark Anastasi now. He's trying to get something going again. Started off hot and hasn't marked in the last 4 boxes.
Yeah,
Came out strike, spare, strike, and then open. So it's a
and
big
what
ball
you don't
right here.
and in those 4 opens, he only had 110, and that's what a good bowler looks at. You don't like to look up and see less than 10.
So he does come back with a mark. And here's Bob Niedzwiecki, who really was the catalyst the first time they turned the momentum. They need him right here.
Yeah, he kept them going the first 3 frames.
Yeah, 5-pin kicked out, so he does have an opportunity to convert a 3-pin spare. Ooh, James Simon, body language told me he was trying to get that ball up to the pocket, but he couldn't get it there.
What you see there is 2 lost marks, in that he counted 2 on each one, and he chopped the side on both of them. So very unusual for
And Niedzwiecki goes off to the right of that attempt, and he does it again.
Made it 2 in a row, and actually dropped that ball. You could hear it hit the floor. But
Yep.
when you're the other team and you're trying to stay even or catch up, that really
those are not devastating, but they hurt a little bit.
Pretty close to devastating when you're getting into
2
the
in a
8th,
row,
9th, 10th frame.
Yep. There's George Kahn, the 4th. Here's a little momentum builder, maybe. Set it up in the 8th, maybe have a double in the 9th.
Both teams have 6 strikes.
There you go. He just throws a ball and a half right there.
Pretty steady, very steady.
Outside of that 7-10 split, he's thrown every ball just about perfect.
7 out of 8 when he hits this.
You
notice I didn't say. Yeah. I said when he hits it, not if he hits it.
He hasn't even come close to missing him. We got a pretty much dead even game here, Joe.
And we know what that does, what that means, that if both teams bowl their average the last 2 frames.
You got it.
You got the higher average team's going to come away a winner. But who knows?
See Rob Stevens there drop 9. The head pin remains. He's trying to fill a strike. He goes off the side. So now the other team, which was making their singles at an 80% rate, is now starting to drop that percentage. As the Anastasi team starts to make their singles. So
I mean, if he lucks out and catches that head pin for a double, that would have been a big momentum boost.
The Anastasi team now at 54% singles, and the Iafola team is 67%.
Wow. And there's a case where it comes down to the first ball because, obviously the Anastasia team they're breaking more, they're missing more, but that first ball's there.
Yep.
A bigger percentage of the time.
Definitely. Here's Anthony off the side and just clips the head pin enough to didn't clip the head pin. The head pin went down last. So
got it on a kick. Yep.
Yeah, Regina's showing a little frustration there. She just let go of that too. It was just out of her hand before she wanted it. So, Anthony Anastasi leaves the door open there, missing a 2-pinner. 9 and 9. So no.
Watch him root the other guy. He'll pick him up.
Nothing.
Having a little talk.
Yep. Nothing changed there. Got Iafola on a mark. Green trying to set up a foundation there in the 9th frame.
Yeah, I think Mark and Matt just told Dad that it'd be a lot easier to call you Dad if you'd make those spares.
Yeah. A little friendly jousting.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. All right. Tony wanted that one, I think. A little body language there.
Well, they caught up. They got back in this game when they threw 4 strikes in the 4th and 5th frame. So that's what they're looking for, and that's what they need right now. They really don't need to be shooting singles at this point in the game. It's a tough pin for a lower average
Yeah, to get over
right-handed
there.
bowler under the pressure.
Yep, it's a tough shot. This time in the match, we're going to just quickly jump over to Jim Kaufman, who's going to give us an update. We got another close match going on over on lanes 5 and 6 between Team Ball and Team Schmidt. Jim?
They are still within pins of each other. It's been a single-digit lead the entire way. Ball has held on to that lead. They started with a 1-pin lead through 3. They got it to 5 after 5. Halfway through the 8th frame, a 7-pin lead with the handicap. So they're looking towards an exciting finish in the other semifinal match.
Great update, Jim. That means we got 2 very close semifinal matches going on here.
We got to get you a skateboard. Run back and forth.
I don't want to get hurt.
Another 9 drop for Bob Nizwicki. See if he can convert the 10-pin. Mark and Stacey, they're going off the head pin on that side, but they've left 3 consecutive spare breaks in a row.
There we go.
Once again, Bob Nizwicki, he's really been the key player on this team in this match.
Yeah, and we see Mark pick the front one off at 3-pinner, probably because.
All right, this is a momentous ball here for George Kahn the 4th. Just turns it off the side. He's loading a strike. He's got to keep that in mind. He's got to take a breath, get up there and throw the second ball the right way.
He's having a little meeting with himself as we speak.
He did have a meeting of the minds. It was all his.
You know what you have to do. It's just to have the ability to relax and do it.
He's still shaking his head right now, so I don't know. I'm hoping he can regroup.
Okay,
Covers for 9.
9 count, but
Dropped
you can
it.
bet he was shooting at the 1-pin.
So he dropped it off, did load 9, and does convert the 10. So here's James Simon, as you were saying, Bulldog, with an opportunity here to give the Anastasi team some momentum going into the final frames.
The odds are he's going to have 4 marks in a row with 2 balls off the side for 2 counts. And that's what I was speaking about. He just keeps gritting his teeth. He does have the 310.
So he does not have the ball in between or far enough side of the 3-pin. So he's looking to convert the 10-pin for a 10 box. I don't hear anything, so that's going to be a 9 drop. Here's Rob Stevens. Big advantage the 10-pin dropping off there. That's a much more makeable spare with the 10-pin not on the deck.
Well, you know, right here, if Rob can make this spare, now they would have had the opportunity of going 2 marks to none going into the 10th frame.
So right now they are, at this point, still clinging to a lead, and they do have, at this point, an extra mark. But Matt's not done yet. Now Matt's done. So right now, Anastasi's team trails by 3, even hits 1 box to go.
It just appears that Matt is loving the pressure. And it's exactly why he's bowling on the bottom. He went right there, no one made a mark, and bang. Listen at him. You can tell it's
Yep, 5 frames to go. Listening to Matt, at the beginning of the individual finals, Matt barely missed the 8th spot, I believe, by 2 pins, he was saying. And I think he might be taking out some of that frustration today.
Well, it appears to me that it was pretty fortunate for the other 8.
So Regina Gricko here with the opportunity to give her team some much needed.
Being the top bowler right now, she has as much pressure on her as the bottom bowler. She's got to get it started.
She did not. She didn't get to the corner on that. As you were saying over and over and over, that's a
You have
very
to
difficult.
execute. You have
Yep.
to really exaggerate the execution and reach for that pin. And
Yep. And of course, we all know the reason. There's a gutter there, and that's what you're trying to avoid. But
it's half a pin, actually. You know,
Yep.
you can't miss it.
Yep.
It won't hit it on the right once it gets in the gutter.
Yep. So Tony Iafola going to be stepping up on lane 11. Brian Green with a split over here on 12. Iafola with a big opportunity here. His team leads by 4.
Big ball.
I don't think
it was.
I don't think the 10 pin's there this time, Joe.
No, it wasn't. I think they went in the pit pretty quick.
So Green finishes up with an 8 box. And depending on this load,
The marks are even.
Iafola's team could be up double digits. And then again, he could be up 26 with another one.
How
So
big would a double be?
it would be big. Iafola wants this real bad. That, my friends, is a clutch ball.
Well, and we mentioned for them to win, they were going to need some strikes. And if you see what they came in sort of clusters in the 4th and 5th, and then they came again in the 7th, 8th, and now in the 10th, 2 in a row.
Well, the bottom line, Joe, is they did not cave to the pressure. They matched the challenge on 3 occasions.
It's pretty neat to watch the underdog step up, you know. And I can tell you, I'm not rooting for either team, but this is
I'm in the
interesting.
same boat, Joe. I don't know really any of these bowlers other than from today and from the weekend, and it's just exciting to watch good bowling, really.
Tony stepped up,
Quickly,
no doubt.
I'm going to quickly turn it over to Jim Kaufman as we have a little delay here on lane 12 for an update on the Schmidt ball match.
What a difference a couple of frames make. It was a 7-pin lead when I left in the 7th. I would just check back after 9, and Team Ball is shot out to a 34-pin advantage. Not only do they have a 34-pin lead with a frame left, but they're working on a double and a triple.
Oh, wow.
Patrick Sortino with a strike in the 8th and the 9th. Eric Ball, the anchor bowler, triple in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. So dire straits for Schmidt going into the final frame.
If I recollect, Ball, Cook, and they have 3 doubles or 2 doubles or triple. Unbelievable.
Right. Yeah. Will Cook's had a triple in the 3rd, 4th, 5th. Sortino with a double 8th, 9th. Eric Ball's triple 7th, 8th, 9th.
So as we were away, Iafola loaded his double with a 5. His team right now currently a 14-pin lead. Nizwicki stepping up in the 10th frame on a mark. Absolutely critical that he fills this probably 8, 9, 10.
Keep it in play. It is.
That's a 9 drop out of that.
Boy.
Again, another single here for the Iafola team. They have not made as many as they were making earlier in the match.
James has had a little trouble from the 5th frame on.
His first ball's not been there.
He's hitting the left side and
huge.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, Bob Nizwicki really, from that number 3 slot, he provided a huge boost for this team.
there's my grinder.
I don't think you can leave anything he can't make, is there? Is there something he can leave that he can't make?
No, but when this is over, if they don't win this match, he will think about those 2-2 counts.
Absolutely.
He'll lose an hour or so sleep.
Well, he's also going to look at not only the 2 counts, but he's going to throw a 117 game. That's he's 22 pins below his average. He's not going to like that result.
Not at all.
Okay, so we have a 23 pin differential with Matt Anastasi working on a strike.
We got George. He can make it near impossible.
Wow. Wow. This is a match. Yeah, so right now, even marks, it's a 33-pin game. We got George on a strike, we got Matt on a strike.
And we spoke about this early on, that the strikes were going to be probably the decisive thing, and actually
they got 4 in this last box. Or should I say 5? Should I say 5 in this last box?
Yeah, you can't miss a single or a 2-pinner when you throw a strike. That has really, I can tell you without doubt, I believe the first ball that Matt throws that isn't a strike, they're in trouble.
Well, at this stage of the 10th box, Iafola's team has put up 82 pins in 4 boxes.
Not expecting, especially how we expected this to end, is it?
I thought the other way around. I thought maybe Anastasi's team would have that run. And that is going to do it right there. That's the ball game. Incredible come from behind victory. They did have a 58-pin spot. They fell behind early on in the match and fought and fought and fought and then just blew it out at the end.
Well, and it really came down to what we spoke about, the strikes. That the
Amazing.
Iafola team was going to have to keep up with the strikes, and they did. I think they may have thrown 2 more than the Anastasia team.
They did. They threw 1 more strike. They ended up with 8, and Anastasi's team has 7 right now.
No, they had 10 if you count the
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And they were
the key ones.
They were the winners.
Yeah.
Matt had quite a game.
He sure did. That's a 180 game, and
9 marks.
Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. And there you have Rob Stevens, who just limping to the finish, but it doesn't matter because his team's got the victory. He's going to bowl again, and they are going to bowl in the finals.
Yeah. They'll tease him a little bit about making him the anchor bowler. As hard as he tried, he couldn't hold him down.
Yes, there you go. So we are going to be featuring Team Iafola in our finals coverage. And we want to once again thank our sponsors for the generous support they provide for this tournament and for Duckpin Bowling. We hope you enjoyed today's presentation of the semifinal rounds. We are going to try to stay with you for just a moment here to see if we can verify the ball team is our second finalist, but it seemed like from Jim's last report that it was a foregone conclusion. So we are going to wind this one up, and thank you again for watching. We'll be back in our next broadcast with the Preakness Duckpin Classic Team Finals.